All right, as you can see, I'm going to start meshing Matthew into Luke, or I'm going to use Luke as the main one because it has the best um, text with the longest stories. And now I'm going to put mesh Matthew into it. So let me get into this, and this will be video 1 on meshing. Okay. I've tried to name the book several times, so this looks like it's going to be the way I'm going to name it. Jesus' Truths and Teachings. And then here is Luke, and I should say that I'm going to race through, not the meshing part right now, but the editing that's done in Luke. When I reread it, I realized there was so much that could be taken out in some places. So as you can see, I'm not going to go over the simple things that you can see that I needed to add to smooth the words out and stuff, but I'm looking to explain, like changing the word accomplished to fulfilled, because accomplished doesn't get it. Prophecies accomplished. Well, Jesus told us that he fulfilled them. So the thing that it means is he was the answer to what the prophecies were actually speaking about. Um, and he did fulfill all our Creator's commandments, laws, and things like that. So that's why I wanted to use the word fulfilled instead of accomplished. These words here are really not needed at this time because they just wrote them down. So eyewitnesses wrote them down. And servants, this word could be disciples, but you know that they're also eyewitnesses. So eyewitness is the best word here being used. When I changed the word from Judah to Israel, I am talking about, let's see if I can get this text here, this picture up here to show you that these are the territories that I've renamed, and I went through why I renamed them, but I'm just going to tell you they used to call this one Galilee, and I've named it Israel to stay with as if an Israeli was writing the text. Jordan, I used that because Romans divided it, and I needed a word that everybody would know when I say Jordan. Yes, the text in Jordan. I know it's kind of split up a little bit. I think Israel or Syria owns a little bit of it now, but at that time, this is how they divided the land up. But here is what they used to call Judea. But the only thing is you can see that there is no really a Jordan River here. So the text I needed to say was all the lands, because he was the governor before all these were divided up. Okay, so as you know, I changed his name because I wanted Jared to be specifically as the ruler over this area or the governor over this area. And then when I used Herod, we know that he was over Israel. So all Israel is pretty much why I wanted the text like this, meaning that it was all as if Moses had given them that side of the promised land and then the promised land itself. A high priest, sure, they're Levites, but we know that a lot of Levites were not just Levites at the time. They were made priest. When our Creator picked that tribe, Aaron was the one who was assigned as the leader or elder for all the Levites. So I changed it to Aaron here. Light to lit. He lit the last 7 lamps. And from said to prophecy, so that's pretty easy here. And if I put a marker in like that, I can flip it like this. And you can see here, because if I'm doing this, it's kind of scrolling. I might have to mention it, that some people, when you move the screen too fast, epilepsy can occur in them. So I'm trying to avoid that because I'm trying to make sure everybody is able to witness what I'm doing here. So here I'm needed to add this verse in, or this sentence to with this sentence above, just because it's divided like this. Now, as you remember, I went and told you all the editing that I did in Matthew was in the last 2 videos. So I'm going to skip over them. And here is a village in Israel, but it's actually in Zebulun. Now, this is where I've really done some extra editing into the text. And that is to make it as if an Israeli was writing it. Because we know Nazareth is here, and it is in the tribe Zebulun. So they would have known that this was Zebulun. So you're going to see when I name these areas where he's at, and trying to replace the name when they had an area with the correct, or what I believe is the correct area that he was in. So yes, you're going to start seeing my direct, what would I say, is changing the text, or I'm influencing the text, I guess. So the thing here is I'm doing it this way. And again, this is what I'm saying, the descent from Aaron, because we have to understand Aaron was a Levite, and all Levites' sons thereafter were able to become priests, and they were supposed to live among the different tribes. But Aaron was the leader of the Levites at that time, so that's why I wanted to say that he's a descendant from Aaron. Maybe I should put Aaron a Levite. That would be good to say that, I guess. And I'm going to make the note right now because I think that would be very interesting to make sure that I'm being as truthful as possible when I'm doing the text here. Hmm. Some, oops. I guess I'm getting this started for today, so I haven't done this, so I better, let's see, where can I stick this? Guess right there. Okay. And I had to add the word David here as King David, so we know, because there is only one David throughout the stories, but I just wanted to make sure that I recognize David as a King David, to make sure that this is being properly noted, that we properly know who uh, we're talking about when we're talking about the rust as King David. Um, no, this is when Mary is talking, and I needed to put favored servants, that were not just his servants. Now, I think if I look up the original text, this is going to be one of them where the words were um, possibly there in the beginning, and I've changed it back. So I'm just going to check real quick here to see if this is one of them. But how come I don't have that? Okay, let me do this one. Okay, I've got it over there on that side. I'll bring it over here to this. And, uh, oh, because it's got to be spelled out. Well, it's yeah, yeah, it's so far different here. His bond slave. No, that's not even close. Um, so I guess it isn't one of those words, but I needed to put the word favored because all those that are obedient to our Creator are and can reserve to them and can actually say themselves are servants to our Creator by obeying His words. So this would have to be favored servants. So she's talking about Mary giving birth to Jesus and Martha giving uh, birth to John. So um, here I need to take the words all his days and put them in the front of the text. This reads more correctly. And I really don't know enough about Greek words to say that that would be writing, but you can see in some of these verses when they're done that a lot of times when you're reading them, you could be switching them from front to back. So I'm going to be doing a lot of that, and I'm marking them with yellow to show that I'm switching words or using words from other verses. And sometimes I'm just switching them within the sentence itself. Um, Here, let's see. Here I'm going to try to say that it's the word praise is needed to be said instead of glory to YV's highest, but praise YV's highest on earth, and that is Jesus we're referring to. And I needed to switch for the male to be first, then Mary, and then their king. And yeah, this is the shepherds that were in the field. So this is talking about their king. Um, I'm thinking that I will probably more make that personal by saying our king when I'm writing. You know, it's if you're the writer, you would be saying in first person our king. So the text does start reading better and better when I'm doing this, but um, these are math. Oh, okay, here comes Luke. And um, by their thoughts in many hearts, I'm just going to use this, that's by their thoughts. So this text really isn't needed, so I took it out. The word wasn't frightened, but they were worried about what they were saying, or Simon was saying, because it was pierced their hearts at his end. So the thing here is it was not frightened them, but worried them. Um, so though that was a quick change that I made there. Okay. Uh, when it came to correcting the numbers, I want you to know that the Hebrew actually wrote, they didn't have a lot of words. I would say 15, 16, 17, or whatever, or 85. So what they would use is like up to 10, and they would use 10 and 5 to say 15, or they'd say 5 and 10 to mean 50. They would use two words. So that's what I've done here. And then I just wanted to make sure that I added the words here, region in this area. I think what I did was I took them out by people expecting to know that it's Judah. But what I'm trying to do is connect the word region as the major regions. So sometimes when the word is region and I didn't know, I just wanted to make sure it was left region, and we kind of have to use one of these to know which one it is. Caesar to king. Um, they didn't have the word Caesar at that time. That word Caesar is even can said to be even be established after the 1611 preface, or the year 1611, because in the preface to the 1611, they call him the Emperor of Rome. But the Hebrews write about kings, so to stay true at that time would have been king. Um, and they went on, and he went along the Jordan River, which means he traveled the Jordan River up and down in that space between Lake Galilee and the Dead Sea, or the Salty Lake. I'm not going to call it the Dead Sea. I called it the uh, Salty Lake because fresh water was pouring into it. Yes, this is Luke. So, who I needed to say one who has none. This here should have been who is poor. So this should be changed to is. And I'm sure that when I go to the next text or start going into the final editing, you're going to see a lot of this. So this extra fine tuning, I did it once, but I know I did it again. So, but I will make a note over here where I've got this, and I will catch up with that later. The soldiers were changed to officers. Because when I'm looking at the list of who came, soldiers would have been Romans, and I can't believe I had not corrected that at this time. So it has to be officers, um, because those that had the higher authority that were able to rule over um, Israelis, and it was granted by Rome to do this, ruling over them. It was, say, the priest had their, wherever they're at, had officers, and the judges also had officers to um, be able to use, like today's policemen that we know. So they're called officers at that time. That's easy enough. Okay. Here, I think I skipped over some. Okay, yeah. Don't need to have those words there. But over here is Holy One. And I'm adding the words Holy One to refer to Jesus because there is text on the Hebrew side that our Creator is calling him his Holy One. Now, it's also his righteous one. Jesus, when we look at the word righteous, what does that mean? Well, you can't open a secular dictionary. You have to read words from the Hebrew side to find out how they were using righteous. And that was like Noah was a righteous man because he obeyed our Creator. He was the most righteous, so he was saved uh, as the one from that our Creator was going to start to create his nation from. So this Holy One can be referred to Jesus as a righteous one as well. These two words, I'm not sure, because you can use holy words, and that's referring to our Creator. So I'm confusing the word holy with his holy words and Jesus being holy. So I'm still in a debate and wondering if I should uh, keep the word holy connected just to our Creator and not to Jesus, but Jesus being um, his most righteous one or highest one, as the text referred to above, the one who was most obedient to our Creator. Now here, these are two women they're being talked about, Martha, and it had Mary. Well, I'm going to call her name Marie, and so we don't get them confused here. As you can see, that it's these parables, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to be joining others together. So when I have the possibility of putting a parable that did not say this is a parable, I might be able to stick it here and combine it with that text there. So just thinking ahead, I just changed it to these parables. And I think there might even be these, meaning not just this parable, but others in it. A synagogue scribe instead of attendant. And this is to, now there were attendants, there were scribes there to help the priest, and because Levites made these jobs for them, so these attendants and these scribes are pretty much from the tribe Levi, okay? Trying to make sure they have established themselves jobs, and as our Creator did demand them to be his representatives uh, and those to teach everyone. So even the judges would have been Levites. So, or from Aaron, I guess. But the object here is, I wanted to make sure that it was the scribes, because the verse is pretty much are going to be talking about what the scribes would know. The attendants, I'm thinking they're the ones still learning what to do, like a scribe, or to be the priest, to stand up before the people in the synagogue. So plant it in your garden. I used plant it in your land. This mustard seed, it doesn't, if it's going to grow up to be a tree, it's actually ruining your garden, okay? Because you don't want the leaves in the, you want more sunshine when you're growing a garden. So I'm taking the word garden out and putting it in your land. And this is because when you go from generation to generation, people live in there. that's why you'll see some of these areas, say like the mount with olive trees. So that family had over generations, their descendants ended up making sure that they were prosperous by having this, uh, the abundance of olives for trading. Okay. Some would have had wheat fields, other would have had different type of grain fields. Some would have been raising the rams, others would have been raising the goats, this type of thing. So, but the object here is they call the surface a land, and underneath the surface that you see is known as the ground. So, all right, here I've got these words being removed. And I've got these sentences being meshed together. I'm just saying it skipped over from the last. Okay, that was no, I didn't mesh them together. Um, I combined verse or sentence 23 with sentence 29 here to make one, so it read together. Don't need to explain that. And you can see I'm adding these verses together. Now, like a disciple at this time, he really hasn't gotten disciples, so I needed to get rid of the word disciple and had to put in the elder. Could I put in a scribe, a tenant, or just a person? Yes. But I felt that the word elder fit best here because I believe in the Hebrew side, it's talked when it talks about the 30 silver or the silver they're going to betray Jesus with. It talks about the elders as well as the priests. So I need to put the elders in here. And I'm thinking at a certain time, I've got to look at either capitalizing the word elder, meaning that it is actually a good person versus a bad person. So, I guess I need to put that here and just make a note that wherever I'm at the very end already of the text, putting it together, but how much more editing do I have to do after? I got to make sure all of them are done, like a reminder to check. So, okay. These are all Matthew, so there's Luke, more Matthew. Oh, what time is it? 28. Not very far into this. Okay. Now, when I'm starting to mesh, the words here, I'm just going to tell you from Luke, are going to be taken out. So, I think that's done in the next video. But what I did when I was moving them back and forth or grouping words to with words, and meshing them actually together as verse to verse and not just meshing it that these words are going to be best here, because a lot of times some of these stories have 2 or 3 stories within them, and they're going to be also redone later back and forth. So it's going to get confusing the more I add the Mark and John. But here, if I'm meshing it with the text above, it means that all these are going to be meshed with the text up here. So what it looks like is I've done some backwards editing here to say that those are all going to be removed because the text above it has better text. Here again, I'm putting the word as Kara as the tribe's land, so this is where I'm going to, like I said before, is where my influence is, but it's pretty much by what the story is telling me, it's as a Kara's area. Okay, here we have some Jews. Yeah, because here we don't have disciples, and what Jesus is doing is coming out of the desert, and I think the desert. Why is it? Oh, that's because it's already blown up. Okay, I have Jesus down here in the desert because it's the largest area. And the way the story starts is Jesus is in Azekar because, or no, he's not in Azekar yet. He's in West Manasseh or East Manasseh. And then he's going to go into this area here. So this story is going to be talking about him here. Okay, I'm thinking I'm going to try to do these at 30, 35-minute intervals. So I'm going to stop here and I'm going to restart again. Because where am I at? Yeah, I'm going to stop here and restart because I'm trying to figure out how much time that because if you watch the last two videos, the one was like 40 minutes, the other was 15 minutes. So I'm trying to figure out how to equalize the video size up here. So I think I'm going to stop here at 32 minutes and then continue with the next editing, part of editing.